Are you still one of the few people that are not of the idiot herd, not of the outrage culture, that cannot get your Stadia experience optimized? You don't know what it is? All right, stay tuned because we're going to go over with you how to look over the most looked over features to optimize your Stadia experience. Let's get into it. What's up, peoples? What's up, peoples? What's up, peoples? It's your boy MM2K back again with another one. Do me a huge favor before we get into this Stadia dosage. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, rock those bells for notifications, please, so you know when your boy's dropping these doses. I appreciate all of y'all straight up because y'all know the deal. I am not too proud to ask. Let's get into it. All right. So, as we said in the teaser here, are you truly one of the people that have Stadia and you're trying your best not to be part of the outrage culture, the people that are like, oh, Stadia sucks? And you see people like myself and like others that have the most optimal streams. We've showed you the proof where even at 50 up and 50 down, we were buttery smooth with Stadia, looked great even on a browser. And you have great internet, but you just can't figure it out. I'm going to help you with that right now. We're going to help you with that. You know what I'm saying? And big ups to what inspired this video is I've done something like this before where I pointed you to an article that my friends have at Share Stadia. You know what I'm saying? Great article. Go check out that video definitely for the basics. But there are a few things that people are overlooking when they're looking at optimizing their Stadia experience that you need to check out. So after I have myself looked over a series of, optimize your Stadia experience videos and articles, and because my experience with it is so buttery smooth, I want to go over with the public what those things are that people are overlooking. So here we go. Quick presentation on what to look for. All right. So first, the three things we want to go over. You want to definitely check your network. So we're going to go over that. Check your Chromecast Ultra, but for the sake of this presentation, we're going to refer to it as your CCU. And then we want you to check your display as well. And we'll get into what we mean by that. First, check your network. All right. So do you have data caps? Look, I'm going to be frank and honest. All right. It depends on what you're using Stadia for. If you're using Stadia for the occasional on-your-go gaming, you just want to play Destiny on the go, but you primarily play Destiny on a dedicated device like your PC, but because it's cross-save, when you're on the go, you want to play it and Stadia is the best way, and that's why you have Stadia, fine. Okay, then data caps may not be the worst thing. But if you're playing Destiny or big games solely through Stadia, and you're playing it all the time, eons and eons and hours, you know what I'm saying, per day, per week, and you have data caps, you're going to burn through that data cap like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I would ensure that you talk to your ISP, see if you can get a cap-free subscription, at a reasonable price, or go to another ISP, if you're really digging Stadia. But if not, then Stadia may not be for you. And that's okay, because people with dedicated devices, if you can't afford to have storage unit after storage unit to download these games that are now 100 gigs plus, you know what I'm saying? Or you don't have the money to pay $500 for, 4K gaming or whatever the case may be, then, a dedicated device may not be for you, where Stadia is the answer, so different strokes for different folks. But again, I want to be frank and want to be honest with you. If you have data caps and you're going to play this heavily, that's your plan, you may want to look at a different plan, a different ISP, or if neither one of those are fathomable, then you might not be the ideal Stadia customer, or Stadia may not be ideal for you, rather. Okay. Also, with all that being said, are you at the minimum recommended specs as far as your speed is concerned? Like, are you at least at 25 megs per second? But even at that, I don't personally recommend you just being at the minimum. You can do it. I've done it, but at least be at 200. Especially if you're in a household that are running continuous streams. Like if you've cut the cord, you gotta at least be at 200. You know what I'm saying? And you got a family of 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? Because those other connections, those other streams are definitely going to take bandwidth away from your Stadia experience. So at minimum, if you're by yourself, you can run it on 25, but for the best experience, you want to be at least at 200 up and down. Also, can you hardwire? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to do this via wirelessly. You ain't got to do it that way. You can hardwire it. If you got an Ethernet cord, connect the Ethernet cord to your Chromecast Ultra, to your PC if you're playing off a browser. If you're close enough to it and you can do it, definitely do that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to use Wi-Fi. And with that being said, do you have Cat 7 or Cat 8 Ethernet cords? Now, you probably don't know what that is, but Cat 7 and Cat 8 Ethernet cords are faster than a typical Cat 5 or Cat 6 that you might have in your home right now. And what those do is those transmit the data faster from your modem or your router to your computer or your CCU. I don't use anything under Cat 7. Matter of fact, I've officially got rid of all my Cat 7 cords, and I have nothing but Cat 8 running through my house. You know what I'm saying? So I try to hardwire everything, even at greater distances, you know what I'm saying? Instead of using Wi-Fi, you know, because I got a lot of stuff going on here, and I'd rather hardwire what I can. But if you can get access to Cat 7 or Cat 8, and you can get Cat 7 or Cat 8 cords via Amazon, very cheap prices. I recommend Cat 8, but if not, you know, go with Cat 7. If Cat 8 is a little too steep, which it can be at times, go with Cat 7. Cat 7 is still great. I don't recommend anything under Cat 7. Again, because and particularly if you like doing the 4K streams, you know, you're bottlenecking the data transference, you know, from the device to your display if you go under Cat 7. You know what I'm saying? Also, okay, if you can't do a wired connection, are you using 5 gigahertz option for your Wi-Fi? I don't recommend, if you only have 2.5 gigahertz option when you connect to your Wi-Fi, I suggest that you go look for a better router. You know what I mean? Talk to your internet service provider, go to a store like a Best Buy or something like that, or whatever tech store is close to you to get you access to a better router. I have a Nighthawk router. I forgot the company that it's made by, but Nighthawk gives me that stream, and it is 5G ready too. When 5G becomes more prominent in a lot of these devices, it is 5G ready. And also, make sure that your Chrome Stadia is prioritized in your router or your modem. You know what I mean? We forgot the A in Stadia there, but make sure it's optimized there. You're gonna have to go look at the instruction set with your modem or your router. If you have if it's your modem that you got from an ISP, internet service provider, go contact them to ensure and see how Stadia running through your Chromecast or your Chromecast Ultra feeds or prioritize through that. All right, so the next thing we want to check your CCU, which is your Chromecast Ultra. All right, the checklist for that is it connected to the right device? Is it connected to your modem or your router? If you have a modem that you got from your internet service provider, and you listen to MM2K and you listen to the Stadia Dosage, and you're like, okay, well, I want to make sure that I have 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi transmittal. It's better to connect it to that router, okay? Connect it to that router. Leave the modem free if you can, and have all your connections via that router. So make sure it's connected to the right device. You know what I'm saying? Also, is your Chromecast Ultra, is your CCU connected to the optimal port on your TV? Some displays that have HDMI, they transmit best through display 1 or you gotta look up your TV, go to ratings.com, which is rtings.com, to look up your TV model and see which one is the optimal display. But yeah, for some reason TVs are built that way. I'm not a tech guru. I don't understand why they do that, but some HDMI ports are better than others for gaming or whatever the case may be. Look up your manual, check out your TV ratings.com to see if that's the case with your display, your TV or your monitor. Also, this is very, very important, and And it's like an emergency to make sure that you follow this. Make sure your CCU is not laying flat on a surface. There were earlier reports that Stadia was causing people's CCUs to catch on fire, and that's not the case. A lot of people have introduced themselves to Chromecast because of Stadia. They didn't check out how it worked. They just whipped through everything, got everything hooked up, and they may have their CCU laying flat on the surface. You can't do that. It'll get very hot. My son had a Chromecast Ultra that we got him, I believe, for his birthday because he wanted to stream things to it, and he laid it flat. It almost caused a fire. That thing got so hot, it was hot to the touch where it could burn your hand. They are not built to be set on a surface. Let those things dangle, you know what I'm saying? So they won't overheat. Also, are your Google Home settings optimized? Okay, this is very overlooked, very overlooked thing. You'll see in the next display. As a matter of fact, I might be able to show you now. First and foremost, is 50 hertz mode selected properly or in error? You know what I'm saying? Let's look here. 50 hertz mode right here at the very top. You'll notice here is an option that you can select on or off. If your TV caps out at 50 hertz, you might want to select this. If your TV doesn't cap out at 50 hertz, if it goes higher, make sure that you don't select this. You don't want it capped out. You know what I mean? And you can select to learn more in the Google Home app. This is the Google Home app that you use to optimize your CCU that you download to your phone. You can click on the learn more to learn about that. Also, did you select frames over quality correctly or in error? And the Google Home options. Again, that's the video smoothness option here. You can prioritize frames, which I did, over resolution for smoother playback. Now you don't see it here because this isn't actually my display. It's a picture, a cap that I took. But if you want the best frame rate performance, check this off. If that's more important to you than the quality, then check that off. If you rather have quality, the best resolution, and you're not too concerned with frame rate performance, you know what I'm saying, then don't check that off. You know what I'm saying? Also, lastly, is game mode selected to run automatically? It's best that particularly if you're using your Chromecast Ultra primarily for Stadia, that you make sure game mode is selected, and you'll see automatically enable game mode. What happens is it'll switch your TV to game mode when Google Stadia is on for smoother game play. All right, so make sure those are selected when you are using your CCU to play games on Stadia, or make sure that you review those options. Right. Next, check your display. What do I mean by that? This is also overlooked too, and it's something that I discovered. For streaming, and thank goodness that I had problems with streaming, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I primarily play Google Stadia on my web browser because I use it to stream while I'm in the studio, and I don't really have TVs. I have nothing but monitors up here in the studio, and I wanted to test it out via streaming. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do that is because I have a 2070 card, but it's giving me issues. It might be a little faulty and I'm working on a warranty or whatever, but it's just PC gaming in general. When you're trying to stream, particularly through Streamlabs OBS, it can get a little tricky and get a little messy. So what I've had to do, particularly because of Ghost Recon Breakpoint, is I had to lower all my monitors to 60 hertz. Now, what do I mean by that? Is I have two 1440p monitors and I have a 4K monitor. Now my 4K monitor is capped at 60 hertz. That's the refresh rate of your monitor. My 1440p monitors go one goes to 144 hertz, another one goes to 165 hertz. Okay, now that's important because those extra hertz that go past 60 hertz, those give you big frames. They give you a lot of frames. You'll hear frames per second. They'll give you faster frames. Here's the thing though. Stadia is capped at 60 frames per second pretty much. So anything over 60 hertz ain't possible through the system. So if it's transmitting at 60 hertz over the internet, and you have your display set to over 60 hertz, it's going to be distorted and be messed up. So I kind of like got out of order here. That's what I'm talking here for when I say the second bullet point for monitors. Make sure that if you have a gaming monitor that goes over 60 hertz, that you go into the display options. If you have Nividia, it'll be the right click on your desktop and go into the Nividia control panel. If you have AMD, I'm not quite sure, but go into your AMD settings and make sure that you have your monitor refresh rate capped at 60 hertz. If you do that, you'll get smooth gameplay. If not, you're gonna get a lot of distortion, a lot of buffering and stuff like that. So that's the second bullet. The first bullet is, even though you select turn your TV to game mode in the CCU Google Home options that I just showed you, it's best to make sure that your TV's in game mode anyway, because it may not automatically do it as you select it in there. So I would do both, okay? So again, for TV, go in and manually select your TV and put it in the game mode if you have that option available in your TV settings. For monitors, make sure that they are capped at 60 hertz to eliminate really and minimize buffering and distortion, okay, and lag. Also, do you have HDR enabled on a non-HDR set? Meaning, you also, along with your Google Home settings for your CCU, you have all-around Stadia settings as so. These are your all-around Stadia settings. You can select the visual quality, balanced or limited data usage mode. You can select the display mode, which I brought up the high dynamic range. And you could also select your account. The middle one is what I'm talking about right now. Is your HDR settings set on? If you're playing on a non-HDR TV, HDR settings are not going to be optimal to set. So turn that off. I play on monitors. None of my monitors have none of them are HDR enabled. So I make sure that's off. If you have HDR enabled on a non-HDR display, you're going to get distortion and lag. And a lot of people got distortion and lag and latency because they had that option turned on. Turn it on only if you are on an HDR enabled TV. And some HDR enabled TVs, they run on certain HDR frequencies that may not work well with Stadia. If you're noticing lag, just turn it off. You know what I'm saying? I've tried it on my Samsung MU6 500 TV that I have, and it worked perfectly with that. You know what I'm saying? Put it in game mode, put the HDR on, work. It was great HDR, but it may not be that way for all TVs. So if you're running into interference or problems, that's one of the first things that you want to check is HDR enabled in your Stadia options, either on your phone app or on your browser. You can go into the settings and turn that off if you're getting some issues. Also, do you have quality mode enabled? We'll go back, show you again. Quality mode in this first strip here gives you like the 4K option. Now here's the thing. It's the most taxing on your bandwidth because it'll take about 20 gigabytes per hour. You know what I'm saying? But it's only there for the Stadia Pro members only. So if you're not a Stadia Pro member, which that's the only option that there is right now, if you're not a Stadia Pro member, then you won't get this option when the base option becomes available. With that being said, let's just say if you're playing Borderlands in 4K, Borderlands caps your frames per second at 30. If you want 60 frames per second, you have to change this to balance mode. Doing these settings confused a lot of people, particularly people that are not familiar with Stadia, but confused a lot of people because people thought that there was not a performance mode when there actually is a performance mode. But with Stadia, you select it differently. You got to go to the global settings in the actual Stadia app and select balance. That'll give you the performance mode at 60 frames per second. So again, at the global settings in the Stadia app, if you want performance over quality, you got to select the balance mode. If you want quality over performance, then you got to select the top one if you're a pro member, okay? So it's something to take into consideration. So basically, that concludes our guides. Again, check your network. check your CPU options, and lastly, check your display, okay? So I hope this video was helpful, you know what I mean? I said it was gonna be quick, but I lied. We're over 20 minutes now. But if it was helpful, again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, because we got a lot more coming. And definitely check us out as we drop further videos. If you like my content, I do other videos as well, gaming content. Check out the links below to follow me. And with that being said, being that we're over 20 minutes now, you all have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.